What's up, everybody? It's your boy Manny here. Welcome to another edition of the Hoop Report, the NAIA Women's Basketball Podcast, episode 18. What a weekend. What a weekend it was. Our first official weekend of games. We're going to record this on Sunday. Very excited to talk about a recap of some of the big games that we talked about and kind of explain a little bit more when we came to picking some of these games and what each of these games kind of represent or what they mean. So everybody's kind of on the same page moving forward, as well as kind of previewing the wrap-up for week number one and some great games, marquee games that I think are going to be very good to watch and kind of tell a lot for some of these teams as the season goes on. And we'll get right into it. We're going to get right into it again. We're going to review we're going to review the opening day matchups. And again, those three games that we kind of talked about where we had Cumberlands of Tennessee versus Oakwood. We had Phliander Smith versus CBC, and then GGC starting off their program history with their first game. We're going to pick it up there with GGC. They had a great game, fast-paced, pressure, full court. I loved watching them play. I think this GGC team is going to be a very, very, very strong opponent to go up against throughout the non-conference part of their schedule as well as the conference part of their schedule. I'm very excited to see what this team can do. The way they play, they forced Bryan into 28 turnovers, had 31 points off those turnovers. It just shows the way they want to play. They play pretty deep into their rotation, about 7, 8. And again, first game, so you can't really put too much into it. But it is very exciting to see such a great step forward in their season and in their early parts of this year. I do think a lot of it is the emotional side of things, and I love the facility, talking to Junior and the stuff that he saw there. It was amazing for sure, just from my point of view on the live stream. So I couldn't imagine what it was like in person. So I do chalk a lot of that up to the vibes, the energy, the atmosphere that they were all kind of a part of. Once that goes away, and we're in the dog days of things, now we got to really lock in on the basketball side of things. So I'm very excited to see what they look like once that initial high of like, wow, we are the first to play in this gym. We are the first to play with GGC women's basketball across our chest. We are the first to do that. That's awesome. That's something that these ladies will always hold for the rest of their lives, talk about in the future, generations to come. When they look back at GGC, this is what started. From the coaching staff to the players, the athletic department, all this stuff started with all these ladies. So it's going to be an amazing atmosphere, amazing feeling for the first few games. Once that kind of leaves, we lock in on the basketball. I'm very excited to see how it's going to continue. And a very key player that I'm looking for is Xavier Griffin. She had 21 points, 5 assists, 7 of 8 from the field, 6 of 11 from the free throw line in this win against Bryan. Another one, Christine Collins, 16, 6 steals, 6 of 19 field goal percentage. I'm very excited to see what this team does. I think those two are going to be names to kind of understand, kind of keep an eye on as the season progresses, because they will probably be the spearhead, so to speak, especially offensively, and mainly, in my opinion, Xavier Griffin. I think she's going to make herself a nice little reputation around the NAIA women's basketball scene, especially in the conference, of being just a flat-out scorer, a flat-out bucket getter, an efficient scorer as well. Again, 21 points on 7 of 8 field goal percentage. That is impressive. And to go along with those 5 assists, just showing that she's not focusing on the buckets. She's able to make plays for her teammates, able to make others feel a part of the offense, even if she's getting a lot of the touches, because she's able to move the ball quickly and around the perimeter. I will say 21 GGC turnovers. Chalk that up to the way they play. If you're going to play fast, it's going to be a very good chance that you're going to force into some turnovers, but 16 steals as well for them, so it kind of offsets a little bit. It is impressive to have 16 steals at any point in your season, so if we can bring the turnovers down a little bit, have those 16 steals, even if they come down about 12 to 14, I still think that's a very good number to have. And again, this team likes to play fast. They're going to press you 94 feet. I saw that whether in their zone, in their man-to-man, whatever the case may be, they want to control the pace of this game. So you got to give them credit for doing that. On the Bryan side of things, the defense, I think they started off very well. They started off very good, but the defense was the question that was not answered. Kind of in our previews of the opening day matchups, I said, that's my biggest concern. Bryan was not the best defensive team last year and kind of started off on the wrong foot. Again, offensively, it was neck and neck. It was neck and neck. They were going blow for blow when it came to GGC and the buckets that the Grizzlies were getting. But after a while, again, between the first game, the home atmosphere, all that kind of stuff, you can see it kind of propelled GGC, and Bryan just kind of ran out of gas, so to speak. So definitely want to hopefully have a bounce back for Bryan. But we're going to head now over to Cumberlands at Oakwood. Oakwood at Cumberlands. Cumberlands handles business. They handle business 3 20-plus points quarters. I said it in the previews. In the this or that segment, Cumberlands wins, it's because of their offense. We know what they're going to do defensively, and they did it defensively. But the offense was what I was always concerned about. Not concerned about, but what I was more focused on in this game. And, this is coming out Monday, but I do have an interview already done, ready to go to be put out live on this Thursday for the midweek episode of Coach Mark Vaughn. And we talked about the offense. I think I've mentioned it a few times. And so even though that was recorded in preparation for this first game, the first two games that they're going to have by the time that episode drops, he said the biggest thing was offense. And I think they did that. Again, 3 20-point quarters, 5 double-figure scores. That's what you want to see from this offense. The biggest thing last year was that they just could not get buckets consistently throughout the season, especially when you got to the Mid-South. But they proved that they can do that. Again, it's only one game. Not going to overreact, although we could. It'd be a lot of fun. But in all seriousness, it's a good step in the right direction, but now can they continue to do it is the question, and I'm very excited to see what this Phoenix team can do offensively speaking for this season. Ty Buckley, 13 points, 12 rebounds. A double-double for her. Got to give her a round of applause there. Braylee Bushman, 20 points off the bench. Very, very impressive for those two ladies. Could be names to kind of keep an eye on as the season progresses because, again, you need to have consistent scores all season long, night to night, week to week, month to month. It's going to be hard. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but you got to be able to do those type of things to have a decent offense. I think that's all they need. They don't need to have a great elite offense averaging 90-plus points per game. No. They put up 87 in this game. That's best case scenario. I needed to be in the 70s. Give me 70s and I'll be fine. All right. 11 of 31 from the three-point line. That's 35%. Very efficient for this team. And as well as 20 of 28 from the free throw line. 20 turnovers, still a little high. That's another concern. But again, as the season progresses and as the focus becomes on offense, I think it'll come down to pace and understanding that pushing does not necessarily mean just get the ball trying to get quick buckets. It just means get the ball across half court. Let's get into our offense, get our transition, let our transition lead into our half court offense. And I think that's going to be the biggest thing. I wasn't able to catch the entirety of this game, but when I did catch on, I did see a lot of turnovers early on for Cumberlands, and obviously they were able to kind of slow it down a little bit. But 20 turnovers, again, that's about 5 per quarter. It's not bad. It's not great either. I do think they got to bring that down at least to 15 because if you can get to 15, you're giving yourself a better wiggle room to be able to take advantage of the offensive side of the ball. So I'm very glad to see how they set off their season offensively speaking. Now can they continue it moving forward is going to be the big question, especially when you get on the road in the Mid-South. Heading over now to Phliander Smith in a statement game. I believe that was a big game for Phliander Smith. Going to hostile territory and flat out handle business. I mean, to have a dominant win like that against a CBC team that we've been pretty high on. I know Lex has been pretty high on them. Says a lot. 32 CBC turnovers to 27 by Phliander Smith steals. So, again, not every turnover is the same. Dead ball turnovers, travels, 3 seconds, out of bounds, stuff like that. Yes, there are turnovers, but I've seen basketball games on the women's side of the NAIA where you'll have 20-plus turnovers, but for some reason you're still winning or you end up winning the game. It's because those turnovers were dead ball turnovers, so the other team wasn't able to capitalize off it in transition. 27 steals means that they were all dead ball turnovers. So it is safe to say, and I'm going to say it, out of the 32 CBC turnovers, 27 of them were live ball turnovers, which means easy points in transition for Phliander Smith, which when I was watching the game, that's all I saw. It was transition bucket after transition bucket after transition bucket. So Phliander Smith, give them credit where credit is due. They were able to pressure the Mustangs into forcing the live ball turnovers, and they converted off of them. That's the name of the game sometimes. So you got to give credit to Phliander Smith. And on the CBC side of things, got to take care of the ball. Got to value the possession, and that was the biggest calling card for them in this loss. All 5 starters for Phliander Smith were in double-figure scoring. They led the way. They set the tone early, and they continued to do it even when the bench and the reserves came in. So got to give them credit for that as well. Miracle Thomas, 21 with 10 steals, a double-double with steals. Very impressive for her. Definitely deserves a round of applause for that. Samaya Johnson, a double-double for her. Flirted with the triple-double, 15 points, 12 rebounds, 7 blocks. Another round of applause for her. Phliander Smith, man, I know I'm talking to some people in the HBCU community for the conference, maybe not questioning, but kind of curious to see what Phliander Smith would be doing as the target on their back for being the conference tournament champions. They came out and said, hey, we picking up right where we left off. Very excited to see what this Phliander Smith team can do, and I'm here for it. Only thing I will say, field goal percentage. 2 of 14 from a three-point line is not going to get it done. I do need to shoot a little bit better. Again, if you're going to have transition buckets, by all means. 14 attempts, honestly, nowadays is very low. So I'm more looking at, and I don't really know if I want to say the percentage or the attempts, because in the day and age where the three-point line is so important, you don't want to fall in love with it, obviously, but you feel like to be a good team, be a conference championship level team, you're probably going to need to put up north of 23s a game. Again, that's attempts. Now, then we can start looking at the percentage. So right now, I'd say I got to get those attempts up a little bit more. Again, because of the way the game was going, I'm not surprised, and I'm not saying that they should have, but understanding that as the season goes on, you're not going to be able to always force 27 steals in the game. It's just not going to work. So you got to be able to have things locked in and ready to go from the three-point side of things, especially in the half court when the game just kind of slowed down. You're trying to just move the defense, swing the ball side to side, get easy open shots in the half court. It's a great way to be able to open up the floor. Again, get your rebounders some opportunities to get second chance opportunities, get your drivers to get in those gaps and try and put pressure on the rim with that as well. So it's the only thing I would say. I would like to see some more three-point attempts, but again, depending on the game, the way it's going, gotta kind of ride the wave, so to speak. And they did that. Again, 27 steals is an impressive defensive performance for Phliander Smith. Another opening day game that I wanted to give shout out to was University of Northwestern Ohio's Alicia Lawson. School record, 46 points. Wow. Talk about an opening day performance. I definitely want to give her flowers because one of the best scorers in the country, picking up where she left off, breaking her own record for most points in a game. Got to give credit where credit is due. Some people are just flat out bucket getters. Lawson is that. The law is the law, and she is the law when it comes to getting buckets. So wanted to give her respect and show our appreciation for that. Going over now to the weekend recap. Langston versus Loyola, our game of the week. Again, when we do game of the weeks, not always going to be the top teams. Obviously, in this situation, it was receiving votes Loyola versus a top 15, if I remember off the top of my head, Langston team. Kind of because I wanted to see what Loyola could do. I wanted to see what Loyola could do, and they didn't underperform in my opinion, but I did want to see more. Again, if the final was 69-64, Langston did come out on top, so give credit to the Lions there. Took advantage of the glass. That's what I have in my notes. 22-15 offensive rebounds, Langston won. That's, again, putting up, whether it's straight free throws, that's 22 extra points. Whether it's twos, that's 44 extra points. And whether it's threes, that's 66 extra points. However you want to slice it up, or even a little mix of both. You cannot allow one of the top teams in the NAIA to have that many second chance opportunities on the glass, because not only does it hurt your chances of winning, it also just is a gut punch. To play, maybe not perfect, but to play great defense for 30 seconds at a time, for 27 seconds, force a bad shot, hits the rim, so no shot clock violation, and you can't get the offensive rebound, that's a body blow. But then they do it again. That's another body blow. And on that second time, they get a bucket, whether a 3, an and 1, a 2-point, whatever the case is. Now, that's a straight knockout punch. And you do that over and over and over again, eventually it's going to wear you down mentally. Not physically, but mentally. And so you need to be able to take care of the rebound battle for Loyola. The other side that hurt Loyola, the free throws. 33 attempts, which is a great number to have, but you only make 22 of them. You left 11 points on the line. It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt against, again, a top 15 or so team in the NAIA, who is going out on a mission. Again, we talked a lot about, especially, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, I talked a lot about Langston, what you're bringing in, and I heard the rumors, I heard what could be there, but again, you got to see it out on the court. They proved it. They proved it with a very good win against a scrappy a scrappy up-and-coming team that is looking for some national recognition. But the free throws, I would go out on a limb and say, as much as Langston won this game, and again, they won it on the offensive glass. They won it in certain aspects. I don't know if it might be 50-50 where Loyola also lost this game. Because you leave 11 points at the charity stripe, that's just you in the rim. You got to make those count. You got to put pressure on Langston to play without fouling, because now you make them second guess everything. You make them be more cautious on defense. If I'm a coach, and yeah, I don't want my team to foul, obviously, but we can be aggressive if you're not making free throws. You get put in that situation, take the foul. Make them run them at the line, because clearly they're going 1 for 2 almost every single time. So Langston, they definitely kind of eked out that part of the thing, because even if they make half those misses, if they get 6 or 5 extra points, that's a different ballgame. That's a tie game, or Loyola's up by 1 going down the stretch there. So Lions definitely kind of caught a break there. Got to be able to play without fouling, but Loyola's got to make good on those charity stripes, because they're free for a reason. You got to make those count. As far as a key player that played well for Langston, Ariana Hunter. Give a round of applause for her. Led the Lions with 24, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals. She was 7 of 19 from the field, 37% from the field, 4 of 11 from 3, 36%, and then 6 for 6 from the free throw line right there. Very nice performance for Hunter. Player that I think is going to give Langston exactly what they need in terms of scoring, in terms of rebounding presence, and just being able to be a gravitational force on the court for her teammates as well as for her team, and creating opportunities for everybody else. So make sure you get used to that name, especially in all Langston games moving forward. Now we've got our sleeper game of the week. When I say sleeper game of the week, what I mean is a game that probably is not going to have too many top teams in it, but it's a game that people need to be mindful of that could go really, really good, down to the wire. Could be a big coming out game for a team or a player or something like that. So that's kind of what we talk about when we say sleeper games of the week. Not necessarily big names, but teams that we think could use it as a catapult, players that we think could play very well. So that's kind of what we mean by that type of description. Friends wins over receiving votes, Mid-American Christian, 81-68. Big win for them. Definitely going to help their RPI and strength of schedule. Friends just took advantage of the charity stripe. Where we just came from with Loyola, Friends went 19 of 30. Now, still not a great percentage. Not a great percentage. It's actually the same amount of shots that Loyola missed, but they were able to compact that with certain other things that helped along the way. They shared the ball very well. 21 assists for the team. 23 turnovers, kind of high, but they controlled the rebounds, 60-35. They almost doubled the rebounds from MAC. That's not what Loyola did. Loyola got out-rebounded offensively, especially. Loyola was not able to do certain things that that Friends were able to do, and you see that is where the things came out on top for Friends. 5 players over 5 rebounds. Almost everybody on Friends had a turnover, which, again, is not a great thing to say, not a great thing to have. You definitely got to cut those down. But when you do so many other good things as a unit, you're going to be able to get away with something here or there. Again, they kind of got away with the free throws. Could have been a lot better. They kind of got away with the 23 turnovers. But, again, 21 assists, double almost the rebounds for your opponent. You're going to put yourself in a good situation. 4 double-figure scorers for Friends. Raylan Gardner led the way with 23, 5 assists, 7 rebounds, 2 steals. No three-pointers. All her work came in the mid-range and the free throw, 7 of 13 from the field and 9 of 13 from the free throw line in her own right. Very good game for Gardner and this Friends crew. Again, keep an eye on this Friends team, the KCAC. I was high on them in the preseason. I think they're going to be a really good team moving forward as the season progresses. They got some tough games coming up here for sure. Some other games I just kind of wanted to cut right through and breeze right through from opening weekend. Dickinson State at number 7, Lewis and Clark. Lewis and Clark takes that one. Triple-double for Darian Herring. 11, 10, and 10. Great job for her. Cal Maritime at Simpson. It was a non-conference game, but definitely wanted to shine light on that because it's a conference rival, conference game, even though it's not going to count towards conference records. Simpson wins 81-75. My pick for the regular season champions and possibly tournament champions. So could be a really big game moving forward. They're going to play maybe one more time before their conference official game. So it's definitely something to keep an eye on as the season progresses. Spring Arbor versus Cleary. Very, very, very interesting game for me going into this one just because they were 2 teams that under the radar. We talked Cleary with Coach Caleb in our preview. Kind of interested to see what they do from a new coaching standpoint. Spring Arbor, Lex and I are very high on them, especially Lex. He's very, very high on this Spring Arbor team in the Crossroads. Handled business led by Megan Zietz, led with 22, and then Rachel Richard led with 13 off of the bench. Very good performance for those 2 ladies in the Spring Arbor win. Blue Mountain Christian versus CBC. Again, bounce back of potential for CBC. Blue Mountain State makes a statement, 80-52 on the road, and a lot of people are going to be talking about how Blue Mountain Christian last year was a bid stealer. They weren't supposed to do what they did. They weren't supposed to win their conference tournament, all this and that, which was true. But you don't think they heard the noise? You don't think that they know that's what people were kind of saying? They're not looking to be bid stealers this year. They're looking to be, no, we're going to be a top 4 team in our conference. We're going to be a top 4 team and a favorite to win the conference tournament again and be able to put some respect on this Blue Mountain team. Catherine Eccles, 22. Isabella Carson, 11 assists. Very good for both of those ladies in Blue Mountain Christian's dominant win over CBC. Battle of Oklahoma. Oklahoma Wesleyan versus Oklahoma City. The stars shine. 12-point win, led by 4 players with double-figure scoring. Very good performance for the Stars in a team that I do think will be under the radar all season. I don't think they're ever going to get the neck recognition they deserve, per se, but they might be a bid stealer. They might be a bid stealer as the season progresses. I know it's only one game again, but part of my job is to kind of overreact and get y'all a little spicy, get y'all a little upset with some of these takes. That's what I'm here to do. But I do think this Oklahoma City Stars team is going to be a very good team and a very tough out for anybody throughout the season, whether it's home or on the road. Mayville State versus Grandview. Grandview takes care of business in this one. Amaya Davidson, 19. Tyron Oatman with 11 and 10 off the bench. Very good for both those ladies in Grandview's win to start their season. Grandview going to be one of the best teams in the country. You can already book that one. And then Bethel versus Mount Mercy. Only reason I want to talk about this game because Bethel's number 2 in the country, and I kind of wanted to see what number 2's got. And number 2's got it. Number 2's got it. They definitely do. A dominant win for them. Complete team performance, showing the depth that they have in this game with Madison Hart, for example, not even getting the 10 points. That's how you know the game was a very renowned win for everybody involved for the Bethel team. We're going to wrap up this episode. Again, trying to keep it short and sweet. Again, only focusing on the opening day games, a few games that happened throughout the weekend. Really everything from Friday to Saturday. We're not really able to touch on the Sunday games. Not too many Sunday games anyways to really harp on. Week 1 wrap up. Again, so everybody knows, when we talk about weeks, we're going to go Thursday to Thursday. Thursday to Thursday, that is our week calendar breakdown for the season. So week 2 will officially start this Friday. This Friday will be week 2. Week 1 will wrap up on Thursday. A lot of good games kind of lined up here for the wrap-up of week 1, led by Huntington at Cumberlands, Kentucky. I got an upset. I really believe Huntington's going to go into Cumberlands and win this game. I'm here for it. The way this team is playing, I've heard some great things from a standpoint of pace, from a standpoint of depth. This will be the Pats' first real test of the early parts of this season on what life looks like past the Monday Sisters. What does it look like? 2 of the best to ever put on a jersey in the NAIA and go out and hoop are no longer there. What are you going to do about that? All right, every week with these upset alert games, we might not pick them. Again, naive, Lex and I might not always pick the upset team in these moments, but we're just saying this is the game that we feel like could have an upset in it. I went with Huntington. I'm going to rock with Huntington. I think that they're going to be the better team for this game. Not to say I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I don't think Huntington's going in there on a 20-point performance. No. But if it stays close through the game, I do give the edge to Huntington. Even though they are on the road, I feel like this game will kind of set up their launch pad of saying, hey, we're going to be a serious contender in the Crossroads. Give us the respect, or we're going to take it one way or the other. Easy way or hard way, Huntington's going to be, again, on the hunt throughout this entire season, and I think this will be the first game where people are kind of turning heads, even in a loss. Even if in a loss, if they keep it within 8 points, you got to respect what Huntington is doing and what's going to be setting up for a really, really good season. Another game that I was really close to putting sleeper game of the week, and I mean really close. Receiving votes Milligan at Lindsey Wilson. Number 24 in the country, bringing in a very, I don't want to say underappreciated team, but if I was Milligan, I'd be a little upset. Not too upset, because I don't think you were going to be a top 25 team in the country. But you should have felt like it. You should have felt like we did a lot last year. We had a great season, co-regular season champions, conference champions, got to the national tournament. I feel like you could have had an argument. Again, I don't think you would have been able, but you should have been at the table. Should have been at the table. Where they are in the receiving votes picture, I don't know if they were really at the table. I don't know if they really had a chance to be even number 25. But a win against Lindsey Wilson, number 24, on the road, especially, those are 2 Mid-South teams that are going to be bringing in some chip on their shoulder crews into their gym that they cannot afford to lose. If the Pats lose that game in Huntington, I think that drops them out of the top 25. I think they go to receiving votes. If Lindsey Wilson drops that game against Milligan, maybe you get to the 25 and you get saved by that one spot, but just because Milligan is receiving votes. But at the same time, don't be surprised depending on how that loss comes down to. It could definitely hurt their rankings. So we got 2 Mid-South teams already in jeopardy of dropping out of the top 25, and we're only not even done with week 1 yet. So I do think this Milligan and Lindsey Wilson game is going to be, if I had 2 sleeper games of the weeks, I would definitely have Milligan and Lindsey Wilson on that one, because I just can't harp on it enough. This game is going to be really, really good and really, really interesting. Again, no matter what goes the outcome whether it's a blowout for one team or a close game, it will say a lot. That's why I love this game, because no matter what, there are going to be some games throughout the year where it's only good if it's a tight game. But this game, blowout or not, it says a lot. If Milligan goes into Lindsey Wilson and blows them out, whoa, this Buffs team is different. If Lindsey Wilson hosts the Buffs and handles business, and I mean business with a Z, not an S, some Z's in there, Lindsey Wilson is a little interesting now. I said it in the preview for opening day. I was not shocked. I was pleasantly surprised by Lindsey Wilson being not just in the top 25, but top 24. Like, not just you made the cut. No. You're in here. Very interesting. Now, if it's a tight game, Milligan goes in there and edges out a 1-point win. Ooh, it's nice. That's a great RPI game. It's a great strength of schedule game. Lindsey Wilson holds off the Buffs. 2 points, 3 points. Hey, could have been a little more, but I like it. It's a nice win. Nice win. Going to help you throughout the season, especially if Milligan wins some of these games in the AAC and they win some of these non-conference games. It's going to help you. That's something else I want to point out before I move on to the last 3 games that I have lined up here. Milligan, Lindsey Wilson. This is a Southern Arcs game. This game, I'm about to say, forget it. This is about to be my game of the week. This game has so many underlying storylines that we have to pay attention to. That's why I'm so excited for it, and I'm going to try and tune in the entire 40 minutes if I can, because, get your popcorn ready for this one. Heading over now, Cumberlands of Tennessee at Bryan. On the road, after a great offensive performance, can you replicate it now? It's one thing to shoot in front of your home crowd, and on the opening day, first game, I think they were maybe the first game of the NAIA season. Maybe got beat out by 30 minutes. But can you do it on the road? And then can you do it again? You know, the Bryan College team is not going to be no slouch. It's going to be a very solid team. Can the Phoenix go in there and perform offensively? Might not result in a win, but I still need to see the performance. When I talked to Coach Mark Vaughn, I'm not trying to say too much about the interview, so you guys can go check it out on Thursday. But he said, obviously every coach wants to be 2-0 or whatever the case is. But he's focused on the offense. And he said that's where he wants them to be. He wants them to be on a good edge. And if they're 1-1 by the time the episode drops, but they're playing well, they're shooting the ball well, they're taking care of their turnovers, they're getting good quality shots, they're putting up north of 70 points per game, I think he'll be happy. I really do. Last 2 games I got Cleary at St. Xavier University. Cougars, Cleary on the road. Just kind of, again, Cleary is a team I'm going to keep an eye on throughout the season just because of what Coach Caleb kind of put me on when it comes to what they're bringing in terms of new era, in terms of new coaching staff and all that kind of stuff. So I'm very excited to see. And the St. Xavier team, now no slouch, very formidable opponent that could give Cleary very good test. At the same time, Cleary can come in there, maybe ruffle some feathers, and we could have maybe a possible upset, if you want to call it that, on the road there in that matchup. And then the last game that I kind of wanted to harp on, Receiving Votes Friends after their dominant win over MACU at Baker. That one was another one I was close to having, kind of a sleeper game of the week aspect. Eventually, obviously, I didn't go with it, but I thought it was a good little game to kind of show out and let people know. Keep an eye on this one. It could be a very nice matchup. It could be a very fun matchup for everybody involved. Overall, some really good games wrapping up week 1 here. I also wanted to give love to everybody. We gained north of 25 followers. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head in the first weekend. That's including fans, coaches, players, teams. Thank you guys. I really do appreciate that, or the team appreciates that. I've had more people reaching out to try and help out in our coverage. And again, we welcome all the help in certain aspects. We obviously are not going to be able to say yes to everybody, but just knowing there's people out there that can help, knowing people that there are out there that are going to be able to give us insight on conferences, on teams throughout the season, it goes a long way, and we're really excited to be able to do that, especially as the season goes on, and we've got conference tournaments to cover, and we've got national opening rounds, national tournament stuff to cover. So just want to say thank you, because I feel like every other day we were getting notifications that we got a new follower on Instagram, new follower on Twitter, whatever it is, new subscriber on YouTube, and it means a lot. It means a lot to know that the late nights, the early mornings, the scheduling and all that kind of stuff, it's not going unnoticed, and we appreciate you guys for everything that you've done so far and It's only been 1 weekend, not even a week yet. So I can only imagine what it's going to go through as the season goes on. But that's going to do it for this episode. Again, kind of trying to keep it short, trying to keep it 30 minutes or so. Just wanted to give you guys a quick recap on the weekend that was and the rest of week 1 heading into our season, or heading into week 2. We will have an episode on Thursday. It will be not a recap of the midweek stuff, but it will be a interview with Coach Mark Vaughn of the Cumberlands of Tennessee. So very excited for that one. Hope you guys are looking forward to it as much as I was looking forward to it, and how much I enjoyed afterwards. And then we'll be back at it next week with our recap of week 1 as well as the start of week 2. Till then, see y'all in the next one.